But the story was far from over. In the glowing light, the hunters spoke one more chilling sentence. Primary Commander must be notified. Someone far worse was coming. The blue glow filling the chamber slowly faded, leaving a soft shimmer floating in the air like falling stars. Lyra stood at the center of the bridge, breathing hard, her small hands still glowing faintly. The hunters remained frozen in place, their red eyes dimmer than before. They were not defeated, only confused. Something in Lyra's energy had broken through their logic, but the silence didn't last long. All 6 hunters slowly turned, their heads upward as if hearing a distant command. Their bodies straightened, and their voices echoed together. Primary Commander approaching. Lyra's glow flickered with fear. No. He's coming. He's the strongest of them. He cannot be stopped. Unn stepped beside her. Then we'll face him together. She shook her head hard. Unn, he was made to destroy anything like me. He won't stop. He can override all the others. A deep vibration shook the entire cavern, cutting off her words. Snow fell from the ceiling. Even the glowing ice pillars trembled. A heavy metallic presence grew in the tunnel ahead, like thunder walking on 2 feet. The hunters on both sides dropped to their knees. Aaron's heart tightened. That must be him. From the shadows stepped a massive figure, taller than the others by at least 2 feet. Its armor was thicker, layered with ancient battle scars. Its eyes glowed a violent crimson. Every step it took made the ice crack. Beneath it, the primary commander. It stopped at the beginning of the bridge and looked straight at Lyra. Its voice was deep, layered, almost like 2 voices speaking at once. Unauthorized being, you must be terminated. Lyra's knees weakened. She stumbled backward, but Arn held her steady. Stay behind me, he whispered. The commander raised one huge arm, charging a powerful crimson blast. The energy hummed like a storm building inside metal. Arn stepped forward. Stop! He shouted. His voice echoed through the entire cavern, stronger than he expected. The commander paused, analyzing him. You are human, it said. Step aside. No, one replied. She's a child. You can't just kill her. She is not a child, the commander growled. She is a threat to balance. Arn took another step forward, even though the ice cracked dangerously under his feet. You think she's a threat? He said. Look at her. She's terrified. She's exhausted. And still, all she wants is to live. How is that a threat? The commander's eyes brightened. Her energy is unstable. Her existence breaks orders. Aaron's voice softened. Orders written during a war that ended long ago. The commander hesitated. That single pause was enough. Aaron continued. Your creators are gone. Your war is over. But this girl, she's the future. She's a bridge between 2 worlds. Lyra's eyes widened as she listened. Your machine's built to protect life, Arn said firmly. So look at her. Truly look. Is killing her really protecting anyone? The hunters behind the commander flickered, their processors clearly struggling with this new logic. The commander's voice rumbled low. Human morality is irrelevant. Not today, Arn said. Because today I'm asking you to make a choice not based on orders, but on what's right. Lyra stepped forward and placed her tiny hand on Aaron's back, drawing courage from him. Her glow brightened again, but this time it was soft and steady. She spoke quietly. I don't want to harm anything. I only want to live. I only want to see a world where I'm not hunted. Please, let me stay alive. For the first time, the commander's red glow flickered. The other hunters lowered their heads as if awaiting a new order. The cavern filled with silence, so heavy it felt alive. Then the commander lowered its weapon. Its voice changed, softer, less mechanical. The child does not match threat profile. The hunters behind it straightened. Primary command updated, the commander continued. Termination, not required. Lyra gasped. Izari and exhaled in relief. But the commander wasn't finished. Protection protocol activated. Arn blinked. Protection, what does that mean? The commander stepped aside, giving them a clear path through the tunnel behind it. This child is under our guard now, you human. Are to escort her to safety. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, not of fear, but of relief. You're helping us? She whispered. The commander lowered its massive head toward her in the closest thing it could give to a bow. You hold a power that can heal this world, it said. We misunderstood. Arn smiled gently at Lyra. See? Even machines can learn. Lyra held his hand tightly. I wasn't alone. Because of you. Together they walked forward, passing the silent line of hunters who now stood not as enemies, but as guards. As they approached the tunnels leading upward, Lyra whispered softly, you saved me in the cold, but you also saved them from their fear. An looked at her glowing eyes and smiled. No, he said, you saved all of us. And with the hunters lighting their path, the human and the tiny alien girl climbed together toward a future neither could have imagined. A future born not from war, but from courage, kindness, and one human who chose to save a child. The deeper Arn carried Lyra into the frozen caves, the more the world around them began to change. The tunnels below were different, warmer in some places, glowing in others, almost as if the planet itself was alive and breathing. Strange. Blue crystals grew along the walls, pulsing gently like quiet hearts. The air tasted metallic, but it was easier to breathe than in the storm above. Lyra's weak glow reflected off the icy surfaces. Her head rested against Aaron's shoulder, but her breathing was uneven. Every few minutes her body shivered, and the blue light under her skin flickered like it was dying all over again. Stay with me, Arn whispered, tightening his hold. We're going to make it. She opened her eyes just a little. I can hear them, the hunters. They are still searching. Arn knew she was right. The distant metallic footsteps echoed faintly through the tunnels. Never close, but never fully gone either. The caves were helping them for now, confusing the hunters' sensors. But nothing could hide Lyra's energy forever. They reached a wide chamber where the ground rose into crystal pillars and frozen ridges. Arn gently set Lyra down on a patch of smoother ice so they could rest. Her body drooped as if all her strength had drained away. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm slowing you down. Arn shook his head. You're a child, Lyra. You aren't slowing me down. You're surviving. That's all that matters. She blinked, surprised by his kindness. Most of her life, she had only seen fear and anger in the eyes of others. But Arn looked at her like she mattered, like she wasn't some forbidden mistake. She touched her chest weakly. My energy, it's disappearing. If it fades completely, I won't wake again. Aaron's heart tightened. He knew he had to act quickly. He looked around the chamber, desperately searching for anything that could help. That was when the ground beneath him trembled, a slow vibration, like something ancient was stirring below. The blue crystals around them brightened. Lyra gasped. Softly, the planet, it is responding, frowned. Responding to what? To me, she whispered. My energy. It is connected to this place. My father once told me that my kind can sense the life under the ice. That we are part of it. Another tremor shook the chamber, and the crystals hummed with a warm glow. I knelt beside her, worried. Is this dangerous? Lyra shook her head slowly. No, it's calling to me. Before Arn could speak, her small body suddenly arched with pain. She cried out, clutching her chest. Her glow flared bright, sharp, almost blinding. Lyra! Arn grabbed her hands. What's happening? Her voice trembled. I can't. Stop it. The energy, it's coming back too fast. A wave of blue light burst from her, spreading across the chamber. The crystals absorbed it, sending ripples of glowing patterns across the walls. Arn staggered back, shielding his eyes. Lyra. Breathe, slow breaths, but the energy only grew stronger. Her hair lifted as if touched by wind. The cracks in the ice around them softened and healed in seconds. The air warmed rapidly. Lyra cried out again, but this time the sound was different. More powerful. More alive. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the energy collapsed back into her body. Everything went silent. Lyra fell forward, unconscious. Aun rushed to catch her before she hit the ground. Her body felt warm now, pulsing with a soft, gentle light. What did you do to yourself? He whispered, brushing her hair back. She wasn't shaking anymore. Her breathing was stronger. Her heartbeat steadier, but she did not open her eyes. A heartbeat steadier. Sharp metallic echo rose from the tunnel behind them. The hunters. They had detected the burst of energy. And lifted Lyra again, preparing to run, but a sound stopped him. Her voice, soft, weak, but awake. He looked down with relief. Hey, I'm right here. She blinked slowly. I didn't mean to release so much energy. It felt like something inside me broke, and then fixed itself. You healed the cave, Owen said, and maybe yourself. She smiled faintly. I feel alive again. Hope flickered in her eyes, but it faded when the distant footsteps grew louder. They are coming, she whispered. Faster this time. Owen stood, gripping her firmly. Then we move. We find a way out. Lyra touched his chest lightly. Thank you for not leaving me. Never, Owen said. The chamber trembled again, not from Lyra this time, but from something climbing the tunnels. The hunters were closing in from both directions. Owen turned deeper into the darkness. We're not done yet, he said. We fight, we hide, we run, but we survive. And with Lyra glowing softly in his arms, they disappeared into the deepest part of the caves, where greater dangers and greater truths awaited them. The tunnels grew tighter as Aaron carried Lyra through the twisting maze of ice and glowing stone. Behind them, the echo of the hunters' footsteps became sharper, clearer, no longer distant. Their cold mechanical voices bounced off the walls, repeating the same words. Energy anomaly detected. Target must be eliminated. Lyra's small arms wrapped around Aaron's neck. She was awake now, but her strength was still fragile. Her glow was soft and warm again, but she remained frightened. They are spreading out, she whispered. There are more than before. They are coming from two sides. Arn slowed. He listened carefully. She was right. There were hunters approaching from ahead too. This tunnel leads to the outer cliffs, Lyra said weakly. But the hunters know that. They are trying to trap us. Aaron's jaw tightened. He had faced danger before in his journeys, but never an army built to destroy children like her. Never something so cold and determined. They reached a larger chamber, not as wide as the last, but tall enough to echo every faint sound. A narrow bridge of ice stretched across a deep blue chasm. On the other side was a tunnel leading upward. That was their only escape. Aaron stepped onto the bridge carefully. It groaned under his weight, tiny cracks forming beneath his boots. Lyra clung to him, afraid to look down. As they reached the middle of the bridge, a shadow appeared at the far side. A hunter, its red eyes lit the dark like twin flames. Target found, it said, raising its weapon. Aaron turned sharply to run back, but stopped. Two more hunters had entered from the tunnel behind them. They were trapped on a thin piece of ice, with no way to run. Lyra's breath caught. No, they're going to kill us. Aaron stood still, calculating. The bridge was too fragile to fight on. One wrong movement, and they would fall into the endless pit below. He placed Lyra behind him on the bridge, keeping one arm steady, so she wouldn't slip. What are you doing? She whispered. Something stupid. he said softly. But sometimes that's the only thing left. He stepped forward onto the bridge again and raised his voice. Stop! His shout echoed through the tall chamber. The hunters paused, analyzing this unexpected command. Arn pointed at the one in front of him. She's a child, he said firmly. You don't need to hurt her. The lead hunter tilted its head. Its voice vibrated coldly. The child is a threat. She's 6 years old. Arn shouted. She's scared, weak, barely alive. How can she be a threat to anyone? Her existence disrupts balance, the hunter replied. Her energy is unauthorized. Aaron's anger rose. She didn't choose to be born. And you want to kill her for something she can't control? The hunters did not move. Their red eyes glowed brighter. Elimination is necessary. Aaron took another step forward, even though the ice cracked dangerously under him. Well, you'll have to get through. Me first. Lyra's small voice trembled. Arn, please, don't. He glanced back and gave her a gentle smile. You're not alone anymore, Lyra. Not while I'm breathing. The hunters looked confused. Humans rarely challenged them. Almost. Never stood between them and a target. One hunter spoke again. You protect a being that is not human. Arn nodded slowly. Yes, because she needs help. Because she's worth protecting. This time, the silence felt different. Heavier, slower, as if the machines were trying to understand something beyond their programming. But the lead hunter finally lifted its arm again. Protection is irrelevant. Target must be eliminated. Voop. Red light on its palm began to charge. Lyra cried out, Move! But Arn didn't move. He planted his feet firmly on the fragile ice bridge, gripping the plasma torch tightly. If you want her, he said, you'll have to kill me. For the first time, the hunters hesitated. A human willing to sacrifice himself for an alien child? For a forbidden child? It broke every line of logic they had been programmed with. And then, something unexpected happened. Lyra stood up. Her small hand reached toward Aaron's back. A soft glow spread from her fingers, flowing into him like warm sunlight. Arn felt a strange warmth fill his chest. His fear didn't disappear, but it became something else, courage, bright and unshakable. Lyra's voice was gentle but strong. Please, let me show them. Lanced back. Lyra. She stepped around him, her small figure facing the hunters directly. Her glow brightened, soft at first. Then stronger. The ice under her feet shimmered as her energy spread. Like waves of light across the chamber, the hunters froze. Their red eyes dimmed slightly. They were confused, not by fear, but by something they had never been programmed to feel. Colon warmth. Lyra lifted both hands. I don't want to hurt anyone, she said softly. I only want to live. The light around her grew until the whole chamber glowed blue. The hunters lowered their weapons. For the first time since the chase began, they did not advance. Arn stared, breathless. Lyra had not fought them. She had reached them. The moment hung in the air, fragile and powerful, like the first breath of peace. Who exactly are these hunters? He asked without turning around. Lyra hugged her knees. They are not human. They are not like my father either. They are something in between. They were created to find energy anomalies and destroy them. Created? Owen repeated, surprised. She nodded slowly. Long ago, during the first war between humans and my father's people, both sides made terrible things. The hunters were one of them. They were made to track anything unnatural, anything that did not belong. And someone told them that I do not belong. Owen felt anger swell inside him, but he stayed calm. Now was not the time to panic. He moved to the window and pulled back the frozen curtain. At first he saw nothing except swirling snow and shadows stretching long across the ice. But then something flickered, a faint pulse of red light moving slowly in the distance, then another, and another. Marching in a clean, silent formation, he counted 3. No, 4. No, 6 tall shapes walking in a slow, steady rhythm. They were looking for something. Searching the ground with strange scanning beams of light. "Stay quiet," he whispered to Lyra, but she shook her head. "Arn, they aren't just following my trail. They are following my energy. They can sense my fear, my pain, my glow." The blue warmth from her skin dimmed as if she were trying to hide it, but dimming her glow hurt her. He could see it in her face, twisted with effort. "Don't force it," Arn said gently. "You're too weak. Just breathe. I'll handle this." Lyra looked at him with disbelief. "You are human. They are hunters. They cannot be stopped." Arn did not answer. He was staring at the figures outside. These hunters were tall. Over 7 feet, with long metallic limbs and bodies wrapped in black armor designed for the cold. Their heads glowed faint red, and every step left a mark of burning heat on the frozen ground. They looked like walking machines. But their movements were too smooth, too alive, not robots. Not fully biological either. Something between both. One of the hunters lifted its hand. The red glow expanded into a wide beam that swept across the valley. The beam passed over the outpost. Instantly, the hunter stopped walking. It tilted its head slightly. It had sensed something. Aaron's heart pounded. "They know we're here." Lyra grabbed his sleeve. "We have to run." But Arn shook his head. "If we run now, they will catch us in the open. We need a plan." He moved to the back of the outpost, searching through old crates. Most were empty, but one held emergency gear. A heat shield blanket, a flare, and a broken communicator. Nothing useful. Another crate held old mining tools. He grabbed the rusted thermal cutter and a portable battery. It wasn't much. But sometimes, a little was enough. The ground outside rumbled. A heavy thud echoed through the walls. Then another. And another. The hunters were coming. Lyra's breathing turned shaky. "They will break the door. They always break the door." Arn knelt beside her and placed his hand on her shoulder. "Lyra, listen. I don't know who created you. I don't know why they want you gone. But I do know this. I won't let them touch you." Her glowing eyes widened with emotion. "Why? Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Arn smiled softly. "I don't need to know you. You're a child. And no child deserves to be hunted." A soft sound escaped her. Something. Between a sob and a relieved breath, the outpost door suddenly dented inward with a loud metallic crash. Lyra gasped. "They found us." Arn stood up and activated the plasma torch. A weak blue flame hissed to life. He positioned himself between Lyra and the door. Outside, a deep, mechanical voice vibrated the walls. "Energy anomaly detected." The door bent again. Arn braced himself. Another slam. The hinges groaned. Another slam. The door burst open in a shower of ice and metal shards. 6 towering hunters stepped inside. Their glowing red eyes locking immediately onto Lyra. Arn tightened his grip on his weapon. "Stay behind me," he whispered. And as the hunters took their first step forward, the outpost lights flickered, and Lyra's blue glow suddenly flared. The real fight for her life had begun. The hunters stepped into the outpost with a cold, mechanical precision that made the room feel even smaller. Their red eyes shone through the swirling frost, locking instantly onto Lyra. She trembled behind Ian, her blue glow flickering like a candle in the wind. Arn knew the plasma torch in his hand was weak, almost useless against armored creatures like these, but leaving her unprotected was not an option. He tightened his grip and stepped forward, blocking their view of the tiny girl. "Target located," one of the hunters said in a flat metallic voice. "Proceed with elimination." Lyra gasped and grabbed Aaron's sleeve. "They will kill me." They were made to. Aaron's voice was steady, even though fear twisted inside him. Not today. The leading hunter raised its arm. A red light began forming at its palm, a weapon charging. On reacted without thinking. He slammed the emergency flare into the floor. It exploded in a burst of blinding orange light. The hunters staggered back, their sensors overwhelmed for a split second. Now! Owen shouted. He grabbed Lyra and ran toward the back exit. The door barely worked, but he kicked it open with his shoulder. A rush of icy wind hit them as they escaped into the storm. Behind them, the hunters roared in their strange, echoing voices. Target escaping. Pursuit initiated. Arn didn't look back. He needed distance. He needed to place those machines. Couldn't easily follow. Lyra pointed weakly toward a rocky cliff. There, caves underneath. Arn nodded. The frozen caves were dangerous, but better than staying in open ground with hunters right behind them. He slid down a slope, snow spraying around him, holding Lyra tightly to keep her from falling. His feet hit the icy ground hard, but he kept running. The storm grew thicker, and visibility dropped to almost nothing. The hunters, however, were not slowed. Their heavy footsteps echoed behind them, each one getting closer. Lyra clung to him, breathing hard. I feel their signals. They are angry. They won't stop. That's why we need to hide somewhere they can't scan, Aaron replied. They reached the cliff. A narrow opening stood between two frozen rocks, glowing faintly blue from natural crystals inside. The entrance to the ice caves. Aaron ducked inside, carrying Lyra. The cold inside was biting, but the air was quiet. The hunter's footsteps faded. Slightly he set her down on a smooth piece of ice. Can you walk? A little, she whispered. We won't have to walk far. The cave stretched deep under the frozen land, a maze of tunnels created by centuries of shifting ice. If they could move far enough in, the hunter's sensors might lose their signal, but as they walked deeper, Lyra began to sway. The glow under her skin dimmed again. Lyra? An knelt beside her. She tried to speak but winced in pain. My energy. It's going away. I used it to hide earlier, and to run. Owen realized the truth. She wasn't just cold. She was dying again. Hold on, he said, trying to keep his voice calm. Just a little longer. They heard it then. A distant metallic sound. One of the hunters had entered the cave. Aaron lifted her immediately. They found the trail. We keep moving. He rushed through a narrow passage, squeezing through the tight walls. Lyra leaned her head against his chest, exhausted. She whispered, An, why do you help me so much? Because someone has to, he said simply. Because you matter. Her fingers tightened slightly, as if the words kept her alive a little longer. The cave suddenly opened into a huge chamber, filled with glowing ice crystals. The ceiling sparkled like stars. For a moment, Lyra smiled faintly. It's beautiful. She breathed, but the beauty didn't last. A hunter's silhouette appeared in the tunnel behind them. Its red eyes glowed brighter than before. Energy anomaly located. On backed away, but the chamber had no exit, only the long tunnel they came through. They were trapped. Lyra's small voice trembled. I can distract them, but it will hurt. No, Arn said immediately. I'm not letting you hurt yourself again. She looked up, confused. But why? I'm not human. Why do you care? Arn knelt and held her shoulders gently. Because your life is worth saving. Because you didn't choose to be hunted. And because you're just a little girl trying to survive. Her eyes shimmered with emotion. The hunter stepped fully into the chamber, raising its weapon, pulled Lyra behind him and raised the plasma torch, ready to make a stand even if it cost him everything. But then the floor shook. A deep crack spread across the ice. The entire chamber trembled. The ice beneath the hunter shattered, dropping both the creature and part of the floor into a hidden tunnel below. A Massive echo thundered through the cave. Silence followed. Arn stared down the hole, breathing hard. The hunter had fallen deep into the underground layers, but more footsteps echoed from the passage behind. More are coming. Lyra whispered. Eren lifted her again, determination burning in his eyes. Then we go deeper, and we find a way out. Together. They disappeared into the darker depths of the frozen caves, with danger closing in from every side. The night was colder than anything Eren had ever felt in his life. The wind cut across the empty white valley like sharp knives, and every breath he took made his chest burn. His boots sank deep into the frozen ground as he pushed forward, trying to reach an old human outpost shown on his map. If he did not reach shelter soon, he knew he might not survive the night. The planet was beautiful, but it was deadly too. The sky above him was dark, filled with silver clouds and strange glowing rings that stretched across the horizon. The light of 2 distant moons fell on the ice, making the world look calm. But the wind told the truth. This place was not safe. Not tonight. A storm was rising. En kept walking, pulling his scarf tighter around his face. He had traveled alone for many days, hoping to reach a human research station beyond the mountains. But the snowstorm came early, trapping him out on the open ground. He knew he needed to move fast. Then he heard it, a sound so soft that he first thought his mind was playing tricks on him. It was a small cry, weak, almost like a whisper. It came and went with the wind, impossible to follow clearly. Eren stopped walking. He listened again. Nothing. Only the howl of the freezing wind. He took 2 more steps. And the sound returned. This time it was clearer, a trembling, shaking cry, like a child calling out in pain. His heart jumped. No one should be out here, especially not a child. The cold alone could kill in minutes. He turned toward the sound and slowly moved in that direction, forcing his legs through thick snow. The wind pushed against him, trying to stop him, but he ignored it. The cry grew louder, but still weak, still fading. Whoever it was, they did not have much time left. Then in the corner of his vision, something glowed. A tiny light pressed weakly under a small pile of snow. Eren rushed forward and dropped to his knees. He brushed away the snow with his gloved hands, and his heart froze in shock. It was a tiny girl. She looked no older than 6. Her skin was pale, almost silver, and there was a faint blue glow coming from her body. Her hair was long and soft, falling across her face like frozen threads. Her small hands were pressed against her chest, and she was shaking uncontrollably. But what struck Eren the most were her eyes, half open, filled with fear and pain. She tried to speak, but her lips were turning blue from the cold. No human child should have been here, and she did not even look fully human. Un removed his coat and wrapped it around her tiny body. She was ice cold. Too cold. He could barely feel her heartbeat. She tried to lift her hand but did not have the strength. "You're going to be all right. I've got you," Eren whispered. Though he did not know whether she could understand him, the wind suddenly grew stronger, almost violent, as if the storm itself had sensed the girl's presence. Snow lifted from the ground and spun into the air. The temperature dropped even more. It felt unnatural, almost alive. Eren knew he could not stay here another second. He lifted the girl into his arms. Her small glowing body was lighter than he expected, but the cold coming from her skin went straight into his bones. As he stood up, the girl finally whispered one broken word. "Help." Her voice was so soft he had to lean close to hear it. "I will," he said immediately. "I promise." He looked around. There was no sign of anyone else. No footprints. No ship, no shelter. Whoever left her here had abandoned her completely. Or perhaps something had chased her. The wind howled again, louder this time. Owen felt a strange pressure in the air, like something powerful was approaching. something that did not want the girl to be saved. He tightened his grip on her and began to run toward the nearest outpost. The snowstorm grew behind him, as if following. He did not know who this tiny girl was. He did not know why she glowed. He did not know who was hunting her. But he knew one thing with complete certainty. If he had not found her at that exact moment, she would have died alone in the cold. And something told him saving her was only the beginning. Arn pushed through the storm with the tiny glowing girl held tightly in his arms. The wind kept beating against him, trying to slow him down, but he refused to stop. He could feel her weak breathing against his chest, each breath softer than the last. She was running out of time. The abandoned human outpost appeared through the heavy snow like a dark shadow. The building was old, built years ago when humans first came to this frozen world. Most people had left the area long ago because the storms were too violent. But right now to Anne, it looked like the safest place in the universe. He rushed inside and kicked the door shut behind him. The wind's roar became muffled, leaving only the sound of his own fast breathing. The outpost was cold, dark and covered in frost, but it was better than being outside. Arn lowered the girl onto a dusty metal bed and ran to switch on the old heater. The machine struggled for a moment, coughed out a spark, then finally hummed to life. Warm air began to fill the small room. He hurried back to the girl and gently placed her near the heater. Her tiny fingers twitched. The blue glow on her skin brightened slightly, like a fading star coming back to life. Arn leaned close. "Hey, stay awake. You're safe now." Her eyelids moved. She opened her eyes slowly, like each movement hurt. She looked at him with fear first, then confusion. "Who are you?" She whispered in a fragile voice. "My name is Aaron," he said softly. "I found you outside. You were freezing." She tried to sit up but could not. Her small body trembled again. Aaron gently held her shoulders and helped her sit against the wall. "What's your name?" he asked. There was silence. Then, in a slow, careful voice, she answered, "Lyra." Her voice sounded strange, soft, musical, almost like two tones blending together. It was beautiful, but it was not human. Aaron watched her glowing skin, her silver hair, her unnatural eyes that shimmered like liquid crystal. She looked like a mix of something familiar and something completely alien. "Lyra," he repeated gently. "Can you tell me what happened to you? Why were you out there alone?" Lyra lowered her head. Her hands curled weakly around the coat he had wrapped her in. She seemed scared to speak. "They were chasing me," she whispered. "Who?" "The hunters." Ann felt a chill, not from the cold, but from her trembling voice. "What hunters?" he asked carefully. She touched her chest, right where the glow was strongest. "People like me are not allowed. My mother was human. My father was not." Aaron's eyes widened slightly. He had heard stories about conflicts between humans and some alien tribes on this planet. Relationships between the two races were almost always broken by fear, mistrust, and old war scars. Children like Lyra were said to be impossible, forbidden, dangerous. "My parents tried to hide me," Lyra continued, her voice shaking. "But everyone said I should not exist. They said I am wrong. They said I bring danger." Her small hands clenched tightly. "My father tried to protect us. The hunters came anyway. I ran. I didn't know where to go. The cold. It hurt so much." Tears formed in her glowing eyes. Her voice began to break. "I thought I was going to die." Owen felt something tighten in his chest. She was only a child. She didn't choose her birth. She didn't choose this life. Yet she was being hunted like an animal. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "No one should hurt you. Not because of who you are." She looked up at him, confused. "Why did you save me?" "Because you needed help," Aaron answered simply. "And because you're just a little girl. That's enough reason." Lyra stared at him for a long moment, as if trying to decide whether she should trust him. Slowly, her breathing calmed, but the brief peace ended when the outpost lights flickered. The heater buzzed loudly. The air grew heavy, filled with a strange pulse. Lyra's eyes widened with fear. They found us. Unfroze. He didn't hear anything, but he believed her. Her glowing skin dimmed and brightened rapidly, a sign of panic. They follow my energy, she whispered. They are coming. On moved toward the door and checked the shadows outside. He saw nothing yet, but he knew trouble was coming. He turned back to her. Can you walk? She shook her head. Not far, I'm still weak. Un took a deep breath. He had two choices, leave her and save himself, or protect her against whatever was chasing her. There was never any question. He walked back, lifted her gently into his arms, and said, I'm not leaving you. We'll survive this together. Lyra held onto him weakly. For the first time since he found her, she whispered something that sounded like hope. Thank you. Outside, the snow began to rise unnaturally into the air. Swirling like a warning, the hunters were close, and the real story was only beginning. The outpost trembled as a sudden gust of unnatural wind struck its walls. Frost spread across the windows in thin, cracking lines. Owen felt the air change, heavier, colder, almost vibrating with a strange force. Lyra clung to his coat, her small fingers shaking. They are close, she whispered, her glowing eyes filled with fear. Arn did not need more warning. He placed her gently on the floor near his backpack and reached for his old plasma torch, the only weapon he carried. It wasn't powerful, but it was better than facing danger with empty hands.